All right, welcome back to the Phoenix Rising Podcast, Episode 2 here today. We got a special one for you. Collin Smith, one of the newest members of Phoenix Rising, Ryan Sykora, Kevin Kardasz. And Collin, you're kind of used to this sort of environment, this league. Spent last year with Rhode Island, a short stint with Birmingham Legion as well. So your first couple weeks training, what's the standard been like in your mind, and what are you seeing from kind of this new coaching staff, this new space? Obviously, you're familiar with the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, so I like what I'm seeing so far. I think we have a great group of guys that really want to work hard and push the standard every day in, day out. We have been doing double days, and obviously double days aren't easy. We have guys showing up to the second session just as energetic and ready to kind of work and grind really just as much as the first session. So I like what I'm seeing so far, and then kind of having a staff that I'm familiar with. I know kind of the standards that they also have set, so I'm one of the guys that I feel like I can kind of push that as well and kind of share that with the group. But I really feel like I haven't had to do too much because the group we have, everyone kind of has their heads on correctly and they're just ready to grind, you know. So I like what I'm seeing so far.
Collin Smith, right back, Florida kid, family from Alabama, grew up in Texas, so all over the southern part of the United States.
Exactly.
What was your favorite part about growing up in that part of the country, and what do you think that taught you and you got to learn in that kind of environment that makes you a better professional, better person?
I would honestly say kind of growing up and bouncing around a little bit, I would say I learned the most from my parents and my older sister because kind of growing up, I was playing basketball and soccer, but the reason why I got into soccer was actually because of my older sister. Kind of she was out there running, she's super fast, and so my mom was like, hey, let's kind of get him into soccer. So from there, I kind of took off, and then luckily I was good enough to keep it going all the way till freshman year, and kind of just being around, I guess, in Texas. I feel like we have a lot of talent in Texas, especially from the Dallas Academy, and now Solar's coming up as well. So kind of being able to take a little bit from my older sister whenever it comes to soccer, and then obviously having my parents there as well, that they really push me on the field and off the field, whether it's just really my playing style and just really pushing myself to the limits and really even breaking through those, and then off the field, the schooling aspect as well, because my parents both went to Alabama, graduated, got their master's degree, so now I kind of have to follow suit and of course get my degree, and I'm actually attending the University of Houston, so that's also good for me. But yeah, they push me a lot, and that's what I'm most appreciative of, and so yeah, I have a lot to thank them for, all three of them.
You mentioned college, and you said there was a piece earlier that you took that gap year in between trying to be a professional athlete, seeing if that was how it was going to go. Are you still taking school online, or do you it's just all in person for you? Online for the University of Houston, kind of just every day, looking to try to stay ahead as much as possible, because I never really know when I'll have kind of a lot of free time. Being like we could have simply be on the bus for 5 hours to San Diego to play a preseason game. So as soon as I got on the bus, I kind of knocked it out so I wouldn't have to worry about it. And then, of course, we have the double days as well. So I try to get it in maybe either in between or kind of later on that day. So there's kind of an unknown when I have the free time. So I just try to stay ahead as much as I can.
So is that junior year, or what year are you in? Is it kind of just doesn't really know because you're so online and kind of away from it?
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Because I'm so online, I honestly just try to take as many classes as I can handle, because being a professional and having the schooling on the side, it's sometimes difficult, but I've kind of learned to balance both, especially, like I said, my parents, they won't let me slip off the field, and so I know better than that. And so I've kind of able to balance both and kind of just keep my head on straight.
Tracking back to Texas a little bit, you were in the FC Dallas Academy for a while, 66 appearances for North Texas, but you also have your appearance in the MLS. What was that like to get to that moment for FC Dallas?
It was amazing, because that's kind of what I started to dream about whenever I was growing up playing basketball and soccer. Once I finally decided, like, I'm going to fully pursue soccer and really just focus on soccer, it was great to finally be able to live my dreams, be out on the field with the best of the best. And then, of course, getting that experience, I felt I was prepared for, because I felt like going into it, being able to play a lot of games throughout all these levels, I knew what to expect from the MLS level, where then I went in and kind of didn't really have too many nerves, to be honest. Like, I just had to really tell myself, like, hey, it's just another game. I know what to expect at the level, so I just have to go out there and give it my all, and I feel like that's what I did.
When you were playing basketball, I would imagine a point guard, right?
Yes, sir.
Probably.
Yes, sir.
What do you take in terms of your time playing basketball and being a multi-sport athlete. A lot of coaches talk about they want multi-sport athletes when they're growing up and being young. So if you were to tell people, out there that maybe Rising fans that have younger kids, to encourage their kids to play multiple sports, and that's going to help them become a better soccer player maybe in their instance.
Yeah, there were definitely times where I felt like because of things I was doing out on the court with basketball, it kind of translated to soccer, whether that was like kind of shuffling in between or shuffling through ladders, even kind of being the point guard, being the facilitator, being able to see passes that other guys don't. Like really like a high press, it's similar to a build out in soccer. You're kind of trying to find the open man so you can obviously get out and find the open side, and similar in basketball, find the open guy to get to the goal. So there are just several, I feel like, correlations there that I could kind of take from both and really, I guess, kind of excel in that sense. And for all the kids that are kind of trying to decide which sport to choose from, for me, I played both for as long as I could because I really loved both, and so I didn't want to drop either one of them. But then at the end of the day, I ended up having to make the difficult decision to pursue soccer, but obviously luckily enough, it paid off. Yeah, where I was able to sign professionally and everything. But I would encourage playing several sports, because if you don't do it when you're younger, then you won't get a chance to do it when you're older as much. So that's what I would kind of say.
Was there a driving factor to kind of lead you to go play soccer rather than continue to pursue basketball?
Not necessarily. Honestly, just sitting down with my parents, kind of talking about it and everything. At the end of the day, I was growing up. So both my parents, they treat me like obviously my age, and so in that moment I was probably 14, 15, I believe 15 at the time, and I talked to them for a little bit of guidance and everything, but at the end of the day it was my decision, and I just felt like, okay, I love basketball, like I really do enjoy it. I like kind of the way I'm playing and how much I'm contributing to my basketball team, but soccer-wise, if I kind of think about my ceiling, whenever it comes to both sports, I feel like I had a higher ceiling in soccer. So then I kind of just obviously had to make that decision to kind of just drop basketball and then continue soccer. And like I said, I was luckily able to then go to national team camp later on that year, get looks from our second professional team, North Texas. And so it was paying off for me. So I was happy to see that. And so it just really just motivated me to keep grinding and keep pushing towards the highest level if I was going to stop basketball.
Yeah.
And before I get into this, do you remember how old you were when you gave up basketball for soccer?
15, 16?
I think I was 15. I believe I was 15. It was freshman year of high school. I know that, at the end of freshman year of high school.
And then you debut as a pro at 17. So what? Like that's a pretty crazy 2-year stretch for you.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
It was honestly insane because the whole time it's similar to now. I'm just kind of balancing soccer and school, of course. And I was really just day in and day out just kind of balancing both from the morning to the night. It's kind of just breakfast, train, go to school, and then after school go back to train, go back home, do homework, rest, and then kind of the same thing day in and day out. And so kind of just being able to stay disciplined to that routine every day with the help of obviously my family members that are there, because there are some nights where I get back home and I'm like, man, I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
And then they kind of sit down and help me out in that sense. So there were a lot of things that I kind of I felt like I had to mature earlier than most, but it was good for me. And I feel like that's a part of the reason why now at the age of 21, I feel like I understand a little bit more of kind of just my routine and really the seriousness of it all and how you have to behave and act as a professional player, luckily, because I feel like my family helped me out quite a lot.
And how did you learn how to settle those nerves? You talked about how when you made your MLS debut, they weren't there, but 17, professional debut, what did that look like on that side? Like, how do you calm yourself down?
Honestly, the first couple of games professionally for me, I did have butterflies. I did have butterflies. Like the first ones, the first few games. Really, the first game I got in, I subbed in, but I may have gotten 1 or 2 touches or so. But then the second game I got in for maybe like 10, 15 minutes. And my first 1v1 I had, my brain was telling me something, and my feet were just moving. So I was kind of just rolling with it. Like, okay, obviously my body wants me to just take off, so I just let it go. And then luckily I was able to get an assist that game that kind of led to me being able to really just earn some more starts and everything. But after kind of getting that out the way, then I feel like just over time and kind of just who I am as a person, I kind of just learned that every game I prepare for it as best as possible, and then the nerves aren't really there because at the end of the day, it's what I love to do, and I've learned a lot from things my parents have taught me, my older sister, just through the experiences that I've also faced throughout my life already at the young age of 21. And so just kind of having all those things, I learned to kind of be able to almost not necessarily bottle it, but just kind of manage what I have going on and know the moment. Like if I do have butterflies, not really pushing myself to just kind of just be like, oh, no, I can't have those. Like I have to go out and perform. Like at the end, you can't really avoid or kind of just block out your emotions or feelings in the moment. So I'm able to learn how to navigate those, and obviously every game's the same for me, I feel like.
Collin was walking us through that 1v1 and walking you guys through that 1v1. He had the brightest smile on his face. Just so happy,
yeah.
It seems like, all the time. And that's something that when we talk to people around the club and some of the decision makers and some of the staff, you're always smiling. You're always happy. I think to me it feels like you feel very aware of what you get to do for a profession, and you feel very much excited and blessed to have the opportunity that you have.
For sure. Not a lot of people are able to get the opportunity that I've kind of worked towards, and obviously everyone's working hard on kind of with whatever they kind of have going on, but in my kind of line of work, I feel like every day you have to go out and grind, and so I'm lucky and blessed to be able to do that. So I just go in every day, really just focusing on really just what's going on in the moment. And so because I'm blessed, and like I said, I have my parents, my family, everyone's support right behind me, and I have the close circle of family members and friends that all support me. Like I really just go in every day with a big smile on my face, just appreciative of kind of what I'm working towards and what I've honestly worked for all this time.
Was your family obviously able to attend a lot of games in Dallas? The extended family that you were able to have, get in touch with in Birmingham, your time there. What about Rhode Island and now hopefully here? Are they going to be able to make a lot of games out here?
Yes, for sure. That's something I'm also kind of not a lot of people are able to say that their dad makes every game along with my mom as well, because there's not a lot of games that go by, if really none, where I look up in the stands and I'm like, wow, I actually don't see him this game. Like at some point throughout the 90 minutes, normally I'm focused to where obviously I'm not looking around, but in the few kind of moments where it's like, okay, a guy's down or whatever, and I get a chance to kind of look around and just take in the stadium, the fans, and everything else. I'm just looking around and I'm like, oh, there's my family. And so that happens really every single game. And so even if I don't see them after the game, then I kind of meet up with them off the field or kind of right on the field after the game. So I'm lucky enough to kind of have my family members at every game, even Rhode Island, to your question. So
getting a little back to the football on the field, you've been with Pa and Vikram before. What has it been like to link back up with them on the field and reconnect with them on soccer?
Yeah, it's excellent because for me at the once again at the young age of 21, it's my development is huge for me as a person and as a player, and I feel like I kind of really learned that through them. And obviously I was with them before, and I felt like I learned a lot whenever I was with them whenever I was younger, and now being able to link up with them again through the lessons that I've learned kind of when I wasn't under their staff and all the rest of the new faces we kind of have here. Now it's really I'm really, really excited to be working under them again, because I feel like just the mentality they instill in the group and individuals, I feel like it's almost an experience that no one else really can understand until they're put in the situation. And so that's why it's super exciting, because I have an idea of what they want, and then seeing the guys outside once they kind of understand as well, and then you start seeing lights kind of flick it and everything, and guys are really interacting with each other and letting another one kind of help out a younger guy, even like the academy kids we have here, because I was once in their shoes where an older guy can help them out and then they can pass it on to the next guy. It's just amazing seeing all of that. So from a development aspect, it's really, really exciting for me as a person and as a player to be kind of working under them again.
And that's what you said, I think, in your first quotes when you were talking for the press release for the club. You said it was a really easy decision because they're so player-focused as a staff and as a group. And I was going to ask you this. We talked to Pa a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, the fans got a chance to talk to him a few weeks before that. So intense, it feels like in so many settings, but every player that he's come across glows about him and glows about the staff and him and Vikram. What are they like in that sort of setting? Maybe behind the scenes in the trainings. Obviously, the intensity is going to remain there, but is it a little more warm than maybe he sometimes can be and stuff like that?
Yeah, I feel like there's different lessons and there's different personalities on the field and off the field, because he makes sure that the group understands whenever you're on the field, we're almost like a pack of wolves. Like, we all go together, no guys left behind. There's a lot of intensity in training. So then once we go to the field, we're so locked in and everything and focused where we kind of know what our goal is at the end of the day from the 90 minutes to go out, win, give it our all, and really, like I said, to leave no man behind. And so having that mentality on the field is huge for us, to where then off the field, it's kind of similar, really. It's just an off-the-field kind of camaraderie where all the guys are really happy to be here, happy to socialize, happy to interact with everyone on the team, on the staff, and even the front office, because there are guys who kind of walk in the front office and kind of interact with obviously the front office. And so it's all great having these relationships, because there's a lot that you really learn from the staff on and off the field. And they've even told lessons about really my schooling situation and my education, like making sure obviously I get that done and kind of how critical that is to my development as a person. So then as a player, it's kind of similar, like where maybe off the field when it comes to the education, he's like, oh, stay ahead. So then obviously if you fall behind, then you're late. And then on the field, same thing. Like if you stay ahead and you think ahead of the play, and then you're good to go. If you hesitate, then you find yourself kind of behind. And so there are a lot of correlations there, whether it's on the field or off the field, with Pa and the staff that he brought. And
to Pa's credit, I think he told us he did the same thing when he was playing. He was getting his education when he was playing. So if anybody's going to know in this building, it would be him.
It would be Pa, yeah.
Sure.
When you came over here, specifically in the press release, they described you as fast and offensively minded, and they liked that what you could do on offense and pushing the ball out of the right back spot. Do you know what the team expects of you at this point after going and playing in the preseason game in San Diego, gotten some training in? What does the team expect of you? Do you know yet?
Yes, I mean the team expects from me exactly how they described it. I would just say like being brave in the build-up, being a leader on and off the field, making sure the guys kind of stay connected and kind of having that same idea, and everyone that has their individual ideas and different ideas, bringing it to a collective idea where we're all on the same page. And so I've luckily being able to work with Pa and Vic, I have an idea of what they expect from me kind of already out the gates, and then now it's about kind of sharing those ideas with my teammates so they know kind of what to expect from me and I know what to expect from them, so we're all on the same page.
What kind of traits do they want out of a fullback? What kind of skill sets? Obviously pace and attacking mindset, but is there any sort of detail that they want you to try and always be thinking about when you're inside those lines?
Brave, courage, and really just for all positions, guys who have no fear. They're fearless. Guys who want to go out there and just be warriors. And whenever you're right within the lines, like that's what I mean by just a pack of wolves. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's bought in, and no one's wanting to leave a guy behind. We're all on the same page, and we're all in this together. So I would say those three traits are huge for kind of what we've built so far and what the staff bring as well.
So it's a lot of mental right now,
for
at
sure.
least. It's a lot of getting you guys in the right mindset to know what is expected of you when you're playing and when you're lining up against somebody.
For sure.
Earlier on, you said, at your young age of 21, and you were talking about that, but you also just described yourself as a leader. That makes Ryan mad because Ryan's actually older than you.
So we've never interviewed somebody that's younger than us. We're your age, same age.
That's
this
awesome.
is very upsetting.
Hey, don't group
me
in, man. I'm 19. Don't group
shut
me.
Up. This is very upsetting to me. This is about me, not Collin.
Yeah. So you
still growing.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy still has to get new shirts. He's still growing. It's ridiculous. You said I'm so young, 21, but you also describe yourself as a leader on the field, and I feel like because you've been with Paul and you talked about what they expect of you, it puts you in a unique position to be a leader regardless of how long you've been around or how young you are. What does that feel like, and how do you really balance that?
I balance it because I know what it feels like to be a younger player, and kind of like whenever I was younger and getting feedback from a seasoned veteran, like that meant a lot to me. And so being able to get those experiences whenever I was younger, and then now growing up and being around even older guys that are older than me and getting a little bit of that. So I feel like kind of being around guys who have all these different personalities and really like the leadership values and kind of just how they go about things. I've learned a lot through that and through the staff. And so now that I'm in a new situation and I'm a new face here as well, I kind of want to just set the tone by being a leader on and off the field. And so I kind of just push myself every day to kind of work outside the shell I'm in. If I kind of can see myself maybe in a drill, seeing a guy struggling, then I try to be the one that's kind of saying like, okay, it's all good. Next one, keep focusing. You're doing well, and just kind of keep it up. And then I'm right there with him. And so I want him to be just as bought in and really just feel like his confidence is very high, because without confidence, obviously guys struggle. And so that's the biggest piece for me, making sure that everyone's kind of instilled with confidence and they're at the top of their game.
And that's a bravo to you, because to be 21 years old, and I think a lot of people would look at someone's profile, someone's age, and say he's not quite there yet to be a leader. But because you've played so many games and you've grown up around a family that seems to be so well connected and gone through the right youth ranks and stuff like that, you clearly have this ability to connect and to be able to be kind of that leader, even though you're 5-6 years younger than a lot of the guys that are on this group. Is that something that you're actively thinking about? Is like, hey, I can be a leader, I can do all these things?
Yes, for sure. I can, and I know that I possess the traits to do so. So that's why every day I push myself, whether it's in the drills, in the locker room, to kind of really just share my experiences and spread certain words and everything else kind of around the group and within the group, to really get everyone to just really understand what we're building towards, because we want a championship and we want to win the final and kind of be able to celebrate with each other and then celebrate with everyone that's here, the front office, the staff, everyone really, the groundskeeper, everyone. So we want to be able to kind of bring that back to Phoenix.
And you were so close to doing that last year with Rhode Island. That team and kind of the environment that was there, working with Collin Smith for a second time after he was around at Birmingham and then going with him to Rhode Island. What was that like, to work with someone who's very well respected in the league in Collin Smith, and how is he maybe similar, and how was that coaching staff maybe similar to this one here in Phoenix?
I would say that every staff you work with
Obviously
is definitely different. Everyone has the kind of little things that might be a slight tweak from what you're kind of accustomed to. But I feel like that experience was good for me, because I learned a lot about myself as a person and as a player, being that far away from home, especially because kind of, as you guys mentioned earlier, being in the South, I was kind of closer to family, and then going all the way up to Rhode Island, that was a huge step for me. And so going out to training every day and kind of motivating myself, and then going to the games and motivating myself, and really how I was kind of conducting what I did off the field, like all these things matter. And so I feel like I learned a lot about myself that whole year, about just truly who I am, because that's a huge piece of why it was also another easier choice to come to Phoenix, because working with Pa and Vic, and like the quote that you guys recited as well, that was huge for me. And so that's why the Rhode Island experience motivated me a lot to come here and obviously push for the goals that I have in mind, because I felt like I didn't quite hit where I wanted to be. And so now this year it's huge for me.
Where do you want to be? Not to be blunt, but you said you weren't where you want to be. What does where you want to be look like?
Where I want to be, I want to push myself to the highest level. I want to be around the best players and pushing myself around the best players, because if you're around the best players and your level's a little bit lower than theirs, obviously you have to focus and be able to upgrade your level. And so that's kind of what I want to do, and being able to debut in the MLS and seeing and getting a taste of what that feels like to just be in that environment with the fans and the players even. It's just it was a different feeling than what I was accustomed to, but I was prepared for it to where then now that I got a taste of it, I'm super excited to be able to get back towards that level, if not even higher in Europe.
Yeah.
Where do you think you fit best in a system? Obviously, you're a right back. You spent a lot of your time with North Texas and with this coaching staff in a back four. Last year, getting the chance to see something different with Rhode Island and being in more of a back three, back five type look. What do you think that taught you about playing in your position, and where do you see yourself best fit?
Luckily for me, I feel like I'm all ears. I feel like I'm able to easily kind of adjust on the fly, and so I feel like I'm comfortable with a back four, but it's not because I'm uncomfortable with a back five, and so I can kind of adjust on the fly, as I already mentioned, and really just adjust as needed, and whether that's even on the right, on the left, and I was previously a winger before I signed professionally, so I can play winger on either side. Like, just being able to have that versatility as a player, you have more options and more opportunities to kind of be able to help out the team in ways that maybe others can't. And so I feel like that's a huge piece of who I am, just being able to adjust on the fly, because there are a lot of situations in life where they may come unexpected, and you kind of have to kind of just really focus on, okay, what's next? You can't really stay behind and focus like, oh, I don't really know what to do. You kind of have to have a plan and just roll with it. So that's kind of how I would describe myself as a player, and really just all the situations that I come across, how I deal with them.
100%.
Probably no better coach to do that than Pa, who was a striker and then ended as a center back at the end of his professional career. How did it feel in San Diego then? You talked about how you feel comfortable playing in back three, back four, back five. How did San Diego go? How did it feel for you?
It felt really, really good, because it was a good opportunity and a good test for the group, being the first match that we've been involved in as a new squad with new faces, academy kids, and everything else. It was great to be able to see the just the togetherness in the group, and what we've previously worked on or already worked on in the little time that we've had as a squad. I felt like whenever we went out there, we really put those kind of ideas into effect, and we were pretty I would say we were pretty effective on those things. So that was really exciting as a player that's already worked under the staff. It was exciting to see how quickly all the guys caught on, because we have a range of guys from 16 all the way to I'm not even sure. And so it's great to be able to see everyone's already kind of bought in and already adjusting to the staff and the ideas that we all have kind of collectively.
Is Rakowski the oldest guy on the team?
I think so.
I don't know.
I
I don't think
so.
Pat wants to know that, even if he does. Now you have
He's
5
21,
more.
just like me.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you have 5 more preseason games. You get to go to Coachella, play a couple of more MLS opponents, and sort of test the level, get used to playing with each other, and then you close out with a couple of home games and get the experience of playing in this stadium and eventually around some of these fans that you'll see throughout the year. With that, is there anything you think you guys have been asked to step up on? Obviously, this early in preseason, everything needs to get better. You need to be more fit. You need to be quicker on the ball. You need to play better as a unit. But was there anything that's come from San Diego that you guys are trying to level up that maybe a little bit more than the other things?
Just not necessarily, because we're all we want an all-around game from everyone, where it's a well balanced game, I would say, where whether it's in the attack, kind of being able to attack centrally or out wide, and then defensively being able to defend set pieces, and just kind of teams that prefer to attack down the middle, out wide, just being able to, as I mentioned about myself, adjust on the fly, being ready for these moments. I feel like that's kind of all we're focused on throughout the whole preseason, is kind of focusing on what we're doing well and what we can improve on, and then kind of just every day pushing towards those goals and consistently pushing every single day, because there's not one day that goes by where we don't try to kind of break through the ceiling that we kind of have set for our group. And really, we don't even have a ceiling. We're always pushing for more, always pushing for more. So I would say that's the biggest thing, just pushing for more every day of training, every game that we go through. There's always things that we can learn from those moments and experiences.
You come into a club that does have the star above the badge. They won the title 2 years ago. The Banditos, an extremely passionate fan base, but you also step into a team that was one of, if not the best defenses in the entire championship last season. Have you guys talked about that at all and maintaining that level of intensity? It was a great group, and Pop through the center, who's still here, played through almost every single game in that. Have you guys talked about that, and how do you plan to really maintain that level? Because it's something that the fan base specifically was really prideful of throughout all of last year.
For sure. That's a huge piece, and kind of like you mentioned, Pa being a center back, he's obviously I feel like he's kind of at the head of it, but just because he's at the head of it and kind of pushing that within the group, it's also on us as players to make sure that we maintain that level. And so he's a focal point where he kind of speaks to the group on what he expects and how he wants to obviously maintain that and continue that. But then it's also us as players also pushing that I guess that really that goal and that objective to have more goals scored than we've conceded. That's a huge one for us, and kind of just having the collective voices in the back line, because there's not one guy that controls the whole line. It's all of us. All of us have a voice. Everyone on the field has a voice. And so it's not on the center back to tell the winger to press. It's not on the goalkeeper to tell the center back to shift over. It's all of us as a line. We all have to move collectively together, and that's for everyone on the field. I feel like everyone has a voice for a reason, and we all look forward to using that.
Who have been the players or the guys that you've maybe connected with the most? You strike me as somebody who's probably connecting with everybody, sure, but is there anybody out there that you're hanging out with a little more, or in the locker room next to, and or going out and doing stuff with a little more than anybody else?
Honestly, I would say from what I've seen in the group, like we kind of are. I would say we're really just a one big group. Yeah. Like there's not even really specific guys that are kind of off, like doing their own thing. We're all kind of together, and so whether that means, hey, we're all going to dinner, I feel like we have like 10 plus guys going to dinner together. We're just going to the park to sit around, chill, or going to the pool for recovery. Exactly. I feel like we're all going as a group, and that's something that starts from the field with the staff. Like once, as I've mentioned several times, just being all bought in collectively, I feel like that's why off the field it's easier for all of us to kind of connect and really just maintain that.
It's probably harder to get away from guys during this time of preseason, too, when it's two-a-days and stuff like that. You turn to your right every time. Joe Margarita's just sitting there. I feel like I just saw you 2 seconds ago. Yeah. It's probably harder. Right. Kevin, you want to ask your shoe question now?
Yeah, tell me about Air Max 270s, please. It's stated as, yeah.
Yeah, lovely, comfortable. Probably my favorite kind of just casual lounge shoe that I would wear, whether it's kind of just walking around or if it's just chilling in the apartment. Kind of there are a lot of situations where my first choice is like, 270s, because I have a lot of colorways because I love the shoe that much, and so that's a huge shoe in my shoe rotation, I would say.
So then tell me about Jordan 11s.
Jordan 11s, that's my favorite Jordan. I have all of the colorways because that's by far my favorite one. The Concords, the Breads, those are probably my top two. I'm probably leaning towards Breads more. Yeah. And then it's also kind of it always happens where I end up in red and black. And so Phoenix Rising have those colors. That's also like I just love the colors and the colorways that the Jordan 11s have, and I'm just really a shoe person, and I feel like I got that from my mom, and my dad's also kind of getting that too. So yeah.
I'd say there's stark competition. I think we ended up on Footy Fits on Instagram more than any other championship team.
All I know is, Kevin, I'm putting good money on that first match day against Tulsa. The photos on social of Collin in the 11s.
I need the Breads. I need them. Like
it's expected now. I might have to switch it up.
How many different pairs do you have then? In terms of just in general, he's hiding.
I wish we had cameras. I wish we had cameras.
He's hiding.
I couldn't even tell you. I haven't counted in a long time, and that's probably the hardest part about moving is because I'm like, man, what shoes should I take? And I'm like, okay, I need this 270. I need this one. I need this one. Then I'm like, well, if I take 3 of these, then I have to take a Jordan away, and it's just super difficult for me to choose.
So when you're going across the country, what's that process like of moving from Rhode Island all the way out here and keeping a lot of the stuff that I'm sure was in your apartment area and stuff like that. What's that like to get across the country? Because you've obviously had to move a couple times as a kid, but moving from, Alabama or Texas to Rhode Island's not the same as going from Rhode Island to Phoenix. That's
For
the longest
sure.
trip you can make in the league.
For sure. The first thing I did whenever I got home and I was like, okay, I'm packing up for Phoenix. All the big jackets I had out. That was an easy decision for me. And then having kind of my parents there too, they're also kind of a part of it because my mom, she's like, for the weather, like you probably don't need the big jackets. And my dad's there. He travels just as much if he's coming to all the games. And he said the same thing. He's like, big jackets out. So that was my first move. And then from there, it's just I try to start earlier than later. So I have a lot of time to think about what I really do want and what I really can see myself wearing compared to just things like I'm like, I did have that in my closet, but I didn't even touch it. And so those are all things I try to think about whenever I'm kind of moving and everything because my mom's huge on keeping she keeps a couple things that she may really not use or not touch, and then I try to throw away the things I don't touch as much. So kind of having that, kind of having the idea of that. So really, that's the main thing. If I take out what I'm not touching, then I'm good.
So where's home base for you then? You said that you pick and choose the shoes that you bring. Is that with your parents? Do you leave the rest with them, or where does that stay?
Yep,
Yeah.
Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
The room is it. I try to keep it intact before I leave because I have so many shoes and everything. I feel bad to just leave it kind of a mess. And
That might be the only 21-year-old thing you've said in this entire show.
Dude, and Ryan's jealous.
I'm
Do you
leaving
see
stuff
that?
with my parents.
Of course,
too.
he's the guy who brings it up.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just saying.
Oh yeah. That's I love my family. So every time I kind of go home, I'm happy to stay with them. Luckily, I still have my room. I haven't been put out the house yet, so I'm able to stay there for a little bit here and there.
All right. I think that's pretty much going to do it for us here, Collin. Thank you for taking the time. I look forward personally to seeing the social media team post your first fit against Tulsa.
I'm waiting
if
for
we
the
got
shoes.
it right.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get it right. But he knows now. He said that earlier.
Oh, I've already changed my guess.
Well,
I
this
gotta
was
keep you
episode
guys on your
2.
toes.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for joining us. And we'll keep you guys posted. See you in 2 weeks here on the Phoenix Rising podcast is what we've officially decided to call it. We didn't know what the name was last week. Now we're going to just settle on this.
Sounds like you guys got a plan. It was awesome. I appreciate you guys having me. I enjoyed the questions, and hopefully I'll be back on again.
Yes,
I would love to.
Yeah, of course.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Colin.
See y'all around.